Hi. I wanted today to share something with you which is very central to divine engineering, which is the source and creator. I hear many times people that I respect, people that I listen to frequently in YouTube, and I hear them using words that have different depths and different meanings. And I think it has to do with the fact that we were not provided with a language to call out things in a very, very clear way. So, divine engineering, first of all, is a language to talk about the manifestation process. But because it is a form of engineering, then it has law, it has method, it has reason why things are the way they are. And so it's a very mechanical way of talking about manifestation. I started channeling this last year in 2023. And since then, I have been receiving quite a lot more information. So divine engineering also works with with the concept of bubbles, if you wish. What is a bubble? You might be familiar, for example, with those rubber bags that you can fill with boiling water. You close them, you put a cloth around it, and even though the water is boiling inside of it, you can put your feet there on cold nights and it will make you feel very warm. So the principle of bubbles means that you're going to have something with a very high frequency inside, and the bubble is going to protect the next stage, which is going to be a cool down stage, but it's going to protect it so that these high frequencies inside can support the outer lower frequencies without destroying the whole process. And so you have bubbles within bubbles. Each time you go inside the next bubble, you're going to see higher frequencies. So for example, this body, it's an odor bubble. And it has in the face, for example, it has two eyes, it has two nostrils, it has a mouth. There is a purpose for this. Otherwise, why would you want another bubble? So you want to sustain your body by feeding it. And so whatever you put through your mouth is going to come all the way until here to the stomach. And from there, it's going to feed your body. Whatever you put through here, hopefully air, is going to feed your lungs, and your lungs are going to be hugging your heart all the time. So basically, this is a different level. It will not go as deep as the stomach. It will go a little bit higher. The eyes, on the other hand, they will be feeding directly your brain. So you have the brain, you have your mind, you have your heart, where you have your love, and then you have your body. So each bubble has a certain purpose, has a certain range of frequencies where it can be healthy and stable and useful. And the other bubbles within, they have a much higher frequency. If the impact or the connection was direct, it could be disruptive or destroying. And so you need the bubble, which is basically a cooling down mechanism. That's in a very, very simple way. That's what you have in divine engineering. So if you have the capacity to go dimension to dimension, because it's bubble, it's a dimension. If this is the 3D bubble, inside of it, I have the 4D bubble, quantum time. There's another video on that. And then within the 4D bubble, you have the 5D bubble, your connection to spirit, and so on and so on. You have the 6D bubble, 7, and so on and so on. In the center, in the core of all this, what do you have? You have source, and then you have the creator. Please do not confuse this with the word God, which is an extremely toxic word, and most of the most horrible things you can possibly imagine that humanity has ever done was in the name of a God. So I will not use that word in here. Please keep it out. Any kind of relationship of connection you may possibly be making between source and the creator and God, forget it, nothing to do. Source is going to be the origin of everything, and you might be familiar with the expression above as below, within as without. So in the same way that when we want to manifest something, the first thing we need to do is dream about it. Because it has not yet been manifested, we cannot use memory. We need to use imagination. And so we need to be dreaming about it. What will it be? How will it be? When will it be? Where will it? We need to imagine all these things. Source is the core of everything, and the nature of source basically is to dream things. So the characteristic of source is that source dreams those things in unity. So if you imagine, for example, a huge ball made from spaghetti, and this spaghetti is not yet made from matter because it has not yet been manifested. This is a spaghetti, a cosmic spaghetti, made of pure primordial light. You could use it as a lamp, but basically the purpose is to dream about everything in unity. And so when you look at a piece of spaghetti in your dish, you're going to see a lot of strings of spaghetti. The whole thing is cut. This is one string, this is another string, right? Source is a single string, but endless, because it does not start and it does not end. And so here you have a huge ball, luminous ball made of cosmic spaghetti, and it never ends. And the purpose is it's just dreaming and dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. That's it. Around source, you have the first bubble, which is the creator. And this bubble is more like a little grid. A grid like, for example, of a sieve. You know the sieve for the spaghetti? You put the spaghetti inside the sieve, water goes out, and you can keep it in there. So it's like a sphere made of a very thin grid. What happens when this skin, when this bubble, when this grid is around source, is that because source is made of pure light, then you're going to start seeing a lot of rays of light coming out of the creator. So this is the process that the creator has of cooling down source's dream, if you wish, source's light, because each of those dreams, each of those things or concepts that source is dreaming of, creator around is going to say, you are one dream, you are another dream, you are another dream, you are... And creator is going to cool down, because if source is dreaming of everything in unity, the creator is going to allow the next stage to be with self. So this is one ray. It has self. That's that ray. Maybe that ray along the manifestation path will become a sun. And this other one will become a tree. And the other one a stone. And the other one is my grandmother, for example. They have self. Each of those dreams, each of those things that source is dreaming of, the creator is going to say, now you all are going to become separate. It's a huge, massive cooling down in the vibration frequencies, as you can imagine, but it's fundamental. And so when you have source supporting with its own light, or if you wish to say it in another way, supporting with its own dreaming, all that exists, all these rays, the connection between source and these rays are eternal and unconditional. Because whatever our solar sun is dreaming of doing, is dreaming of manifesting, source will always support it. It will not cut and say, from now on you're punished, and I'm going to cut this thing and you don't exist anymore, because I'm not going to dream with you anymore. I am not going to support you with my primordial light. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. So source, whenever it is dreaming of something, it says, this is forever. And so every ray, independently from what it's dreaming of manifesting, is going to be supported, sustained by source's dream. The reason this is important is because if this is unconditional, as this is unconditional, this sustaining, this support is unconditional, these rays, they gain a form of authority from source, which is called the free will. And then source makes this agreement. I am here dreaming. the creator is giving yourself from now on, you, and this is source talking to, for example, to your ray, and so source is saying from now on, you are in charge of expanding the universe. And that means that whatever you are now dreaming, you are dreaming at the service of source. You are the ambassador of source, and your task is to create new dreams and new things in the existence. Now, what that creates in a way, but I don't want to use that word. What that implies is that whenever you have all these rays, and now each of them is dreaming their own dreams, this, by the way, is why you have the expression as above, so below, as within, so without. And so now you have all these dreams dreaming about expansion, about expanding their own existence, their own universe. And that puts source in a position which is staying connected to all the dreams of all the race, centralizing all of that, and keeping the balance of everything. So when you think of source dreaming about all that is, source's job is not to create new things in the universe, it is to absorb the dreams of all that has already been created and keeping the whole thing in balance. And I will give you an example on how this happens. Imagine you have a huge bowl made of glass, kind of like a sphere made of glass, empty of course, and there's a little opening on top, and you put a lot of marbles inside of it, big and small and colorful and opaque and transparent, and all that exists is inside this bowl, right? As if each marble would be one of Source's dreams. And now you completely control your existence, you completely control your universe, if you wish, and you say, I want to move right. So you put your hand inside, you take your marble, and you move it to the right. Yeah? So now your marble is exactly the way you want it. What happened to the rest of the universe while you were doing this? Did you leave a trail of absence, of emptiness in there? No, because Source will come and say, you want to move to the right? No problem. There will be a fantastic opportunity for a lot of other people, a lot of other rays that want completely different things. And so as you move your marble to the right, others will come and occupy the space. So all that Source needs to do now, after it delegated the capacity to dream more, to dream further, to expand further the universe and all that exists, after it gave all that to each of those rays, which is what we are, all it needs to do is find a magical way so that everything can move and manifest in the universe, but however, the balance is kept in unity. That's all that Source does. Powerful as it is, it delegated to us to go on expanding the universe. So, Source, with then another bubble, which is the creator, and at some point, cooling down, after cooling down, you're going to have something, which is another bubble, called spirit, our spirit. And that spirit is going to reflect originally what Source was doing, because as above, so below, as within, so without. And so, in the same way that Source is going to dream about all that is, the outer bubble, which is our spirit, is going to dream about all I am. So we can be a lot of different things, but it will always have to be our marble. It will always have to be the I dreaming about being a man or a woman, being Buddhist, being, Hindu, being black or white, being whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But whatever that outer bubble, spirit, is dreaming of, it's going to be dreaming only about itself. Why? Because the frequencies have been cooled down, and that's the capacity there is. If you imagine, for example, a lamp made for 220 volt, or even an engine made for 220 volt, very high frequencies, it can do a lot of stuff. what is it that a tiny little engine can do when you have only a single battery of 1.5 volts supporting it? Well, it can be a very nice fan for you in summer, but you cannot really use that engine in a factory, right? So the lower the frequencies, the lower the capacities, but not less important. And the fact is then that when you have this outer bubble called the spirit, our spirit, then in the same way, it's going to be covered by another bubble, which is again cooling down bubble, so that the process can go on and go on and go on without having a higher frequency bubble destroying the outer lower frequency bubble. So what do we have around our spirit? Our spirit reflects also the fact that it thinks in terms of unity, just like Source. And so, this unity that the spirit, where the spirit is existing, where the spirit is dreaming about all that it dreams, is still free because the frequencies are still very, very high. So spirit is still free at those frequencies levels, at those frequencies ranges, free from the restrictions of time and space. We are not. Our body can be here, so therefore it cannot be there. We need to be in this moment right now, which, whoops, it just went by. So now it's a new now in a new now, but we are always in the now. We cannot be in the future with our body. We cannot be in the past with our body. We need to go into our inner bubble. And so if this is 3D, the next bubble is 4D, which is quantum time. And then through there, with our awareness, in our mind's eye, so to speak, we can go back through memory, or we can go to the future through imagination, but not with our body. So what is it that we have between this body and the spirit bubble, which is inside of us? We have something called a soul. And the soul bubble, it's going to be a restriction because it's going to give focus to spirit's dreams. So, if spirit can be man or woman, but we want to incarnate, soul is going to say, I'm going to throw away the woman's possibility, and I will be a man. In this incarnation, of course. Throw away all the different colors, I will be white. I will, and so on and so on. So the soul is going to give enough specification and focus to spirit's dream so that we can survive the lower frequencies by respecting the restrictions of space and the restrictions of time, and so on and so on and so on. So here we are. It's very clear what I am. I am a man at the moment. I am in a certain place. I am in a certain time. I am all those things that I can say I am. They are the way that soul sustains the I in here now through the high vibrations of spirit. And so if you go now inside and again, inside and again, inside, 3D is what you see. It's me physical, me biological. Within me, which you can't see, although I can communicate with you, the inside of me, I have the 4D, which provides the tool for me to travel a long time of this incarnation. But if I then go into the 5D bubble, I have access to all the moments in all the incarnations of my spirit. Because spirit, being divine, it is not manifested, and so it's not subject to the restrictions of time or space. So spirit is going to dream in the same way that source, with the help of the creator, is going to have one ray here, one ray over there. My spirit is going to have exactly the same capacity. So through the help of souls, it's going to, the spirit is going to have an incarnation, which is over here, right now. But then I was also in Egypt and in Rome and in here and in there and in the Middle Ages and France, in whatever. Anything that spirit wants to dream of with the purpose of expanding the richness, the wealth, the possibilities of the universe, anything my spirit wants to dream of, it can. It has to follow the mechanism for all this, right? But it can do that. And so my spirit is still connected in parallel, not simultaneously, because simultaneously means at the same time. And they are not at the same time. This me is in the here and now, while the other me is in the Roman time, and the other one in the Egyptian time, and the other one in Middle Ages. So times are different. This is not happening simultaneously, but it is happening in parallel. In the same way that I can go inside my 4D bubble, remember things when I was a child, or remember things from last year ago, for example, our spirit can also put the focus of its attention in this incarnation or that incarnation or whatever. And these incarnations, they work in a way, if you wish, like organs of spirit. Our body has different organs. Each organ has a certain purpose, a certain task, and all, when it's put together, can do things that organs cannot do by themselves. In the same way, our spirit, with each of these incarnations, can do things that each of those incarnations cannot do by itself. So, talking about purpose, what I wanted to come to is, imagine that the me, when I was in Rome, at a certain point I said, oh God, help me. Because, at that time, we could not talk. We didn't have the language. We did not have the awareness to view how this mechanism works. And so in those times, it was okay to talk about God or to ask help from God. Even though the me did not have that awareness, spirit had it. And spirit, each of each of us has its own spirit. Whenever we talk to the divine, the first point of existence, of manifestation, that is capable of answering that call for help is always our spirit. So again, forget about God. Whenever the request for help goes to our spirit. That bubble holds, very symbolically, if you wish, it holds something called a library. It's a room with all the diaries and all the books of all our incarnations, as well as all our relationships. Because when we as spirit, when our spirit decides, I want to start a new incarnation, I'll tell you why that happens. When your spirit says, I want to start a new incarnation, the first thing the spirit needs to do is go to the dating app of spirits, and it says, loving spirit is looking to do this and that with our lives, and we are looking for a father and a mother. And then there is another spirit which is from your family spirit, because in another incarnation, you and that other spirit, you were father and son. You were the father, that other spirit was the son. This time, that other spirit says, yeah, I'll be your father. So you will be able to try things in one way, but also in the opposite way. So now you have a father, now you have a mother. Fantastic. But it's not that simple. Because whatever you're going to do with your life is going to affect the two lines of ancestry, through your mom, through your dad. And the ancestors in those lines, they are still connected. If your grandfather is still alive, then yes, there is an incarnation together with another incarnation. But it doesn't have to be like that, because even after these ancestors, they give back their body to Earth, our mother. Even after they give back the body to Earth, the fact remains that they are still part of this ancestry line. It's something that has been manifested collectively, and it doesn't disappear when you give back your body. So the ancestors of both these lines, they have to say, they have to agree that, yes, what you are planning to do pleases us. Once you have that agreement of the whole ancestry, not just your father and your mother, then you are allowed to cross the portal and come here physically. From then on, you are entitled to do whatever you want because you are driving this huge bus, and all the ancestors that said, yes, you can, now they sit in the back. They are passengers. They're still there. You can communicate with them, but they cannot take back the power that you were given, which is their agreement, before you were born. So once you are born, you are the pilot. You are the owner of the DNA you got, and you can do anything you want with that. So the me in Roman times was going through a very complicated situation, and it said, oh God, help me. This is being taken by my spirit, and my spirit goes to the vault and says, yeah, we don't have that kind of experience or skills to send you back so we can go on sustaining you. What are we going to do? We're going to create a new incarnation focused on practicing this new skill that the me in Roman times was asking for help. Does that mean if I'm going to live, let's say, for example, 100 years, does that mean that the other me has to wait also 100 years in the other one? No, because there is no connection in time. The whole thing is happening in parallel. So as me in Roman time says, oh God, help me, spirit checks it doesn't have what it needs or what it wants, and it's going to create a new incarnation. Now I'm going to have 100 years in this new incarnation, develop those skills, and then I move them back to the library. Then the skills are available. Now spirit can go and help the me in Roman times. This is how incarnations gain their purpose. And this also is how we keep on this agreement that we have with Source to create more and more things in the universe. Situations, skills, capacities, relationships. Every time we create a new agreement with another spirit or anything we may want in any kind of incarnations, we are giving one step back into bringing all the spirits into unity, which is the original dream of Source. So, well, Source, Creator, Spirit. There's one thing in all of this that I think is also quite important to be aware of, which is the following. If you follow my advice and you forget this thing about the God, and you look inside of you, you're going to see a bubble with certain skills, with certain capacities. The 4D bubble allows you to move in time, in your internal time, in your existence time, through either memory or imagination. Within that, you have the 5D. So now, because 5D has higher frequencies, you can travel not only within this incarnation, but you can travel also from one incarnation to another incarnation and make the whole connection. And you want to go on and on. You have 60, 70, 80. You have a lot of these. You have a lot of dimensions. You have a lot of bubbles, one inside the other. But your core bubbles, just like anyone else, are going to be Source and the Creator. So if you want to think of that something, which please is not God, if you want to think about that something which dreamed about the universe, which dreamed about existence, dreamed about this, about that, and dreamed about you, it's in your core. So whenever you go from here to the fruit shop to buy some lemons, for example, guess what? What are you carrying inside of you? Source and Creator. You carry all of this inside of you, you see, so you are the temple. You don't need to go to someone else's temple and put your hand in the pocket and say, yeah, here you go, have some money. Forget all that. You are the temple. You are the God. You are the one that was originally dreamed by Source and empowered by the Creator with self. And then source now sustains you unconditionally. Maybe this beautiful body with a very nice transparent mind, one day I'm going to give all this back to Mother Earth. Yeah, but the I that is talking to you is going to go on existing because I am eternally and unconditionally supported by the one who dreamed me, which is Source, with its own light and love. You see? So you are a God. Your task is to create new things. If at some point you feel a certain guilt or shame because you want this and you don't want that like everybody else, celebrate that. Celebrate that like Source is celebrating as you dream of that because he said, oh, wow, great new stuff. Let me get all that because you are feeding Source with your expansion by being original. That's the most divine thing you can be. Your uniqueness is the most divine thing it can be, you see. So don't be ashamed. Don't feel guilt. Every time you feel guilt, you need to go back inside and you say, which rule made me feel guilty? Get held away from my mind. And you throw it away with the most huge disgust you can because you have just been domesticated, infiltrated, intoxicated. Anytime you will be different, celebrate it. You are feeding Source with the new dream, with your uniqueness. You are the God. You are the temple. Any place, anywhere you go, it's all inside of you. You cannot avoid carrying that divineness from within of you. This, I think, was the main message for today. It might be a little bit overwhelming, but let it sink in. Thanks for watching.